Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking with Holly Duckworth. Holly is a specialist in mindfulness. She wrote several books. She's been involved with mindfulness for the last 10 years. She just created the American Mindfulness Association. Enjoy my conversation with Holly, who will be sharing great tips to apply on your everyday life. Welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meaning podcast. And today, I am so happy to finally have the opportunity to speak with the person that everybody has in mind when it comes to mindfulness. She has an amazing career in our industry. She's everywhere, and she's going to share with us how did she come to this industry, what she's doing now. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Holly Duckworth. How are you, Holly?
I'm great, Eric. Hello. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
With great pleasure. And so happy you can take the time, we can discuss that. And I know we're going to speak about mindfulness. We're going to speak about what you're doing at IMEX for mindfulness. But before we get into that, how did you join the industry? What is your journey for those who don't know you?
It's so fascinating. Where you start is not necessarily where you end up. If you'd have told me 25 years ago I would be where I am doing what I'm doing, I would have laughed you off the planet. I actually started out, you may not even know this, in baseball. I worked as a director of corporate communications for a short season single A baseball team in just south of Portland, Oregon. And, one opportunity and one networking, I met somebody who said, Holly, I think you should come work for the Convention and Visitors Bureau in Portland, Oregon, which was the best job ever. I had the opportunity kind of to take that first leap into more formal meetings and conventions. I started out as the membership sales coordinator and then moved over to the convention services manager role, which is where I linked up with Meeting Professionals International. A few years later, MPI actually recruited me to come work for them, and I had the privilege of working remotely, managing their, at the time, 14 MPI dedicated, hardworking volunteer chapters in the Western U.S., and that evolved into starting my own company, writing books on association leadership and meetings, which, I kind of decided I was going to step away from meetings because the stress and the overwhelm wasn't the lifestyle I was looking to create, and got a degree in mindfulness. And now I've put all three of those, meetings, associations, and mindfulness, in the blender to create and found the American Mindfulness Association, in addition to all my work in speaking and coaching around the topic. So it's been a wild and wonderful ride for sure.
And nobody knows that you have a twin sister that is doing half of the work you're doing, right?
I totally wish I did.
That's fascinating. I really liked, everybody's got their own story, and you just another proof that it's not because you're doing something specific that you cannot change. But what was the moment, the tipping point when you said, you know what, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going on my own.
Wow. You get to a point where you're certifiably unemployable. And with each passing day, I can't believe it's been almost 15 years now that you just become unemployable. I got to a point where I loved what I did for MPI, but honestly, there was a voice within me that was whispering that the skills, the talents, and the services that I was loving offering to MPI needed to be offered to organizations worldwide. And so with that vision and passion, I ended up leaving MPI and writing my first book, which is Control, Alt, Believe, Reboot Your Association for Success.
And that was all that's when you start the first roller coaster of being an entrepreneur, right?
That was the first chapter of entrepreneurship, yes.
So you're now obviously focusing on mindfulness. You just share with us, you just create the American Mindfulness Association. Congratulations. The image, and I'm going to speak for myself, of course. The first image I had of about mindfulness years ago was, that's woo-woo. That's not for me. That's not for, it's not serious, or it is, a certain approach to life. Where actually, this is obviously not the case. And we're going to talk about it in a moment. But when you started, you were one of the pioneers that went into that. So what was the reaction at that moment, the doubts that you had, and how do you really start convincing people about being focused on mindfulness?
Well, Eric, I love your authenticity because you have watched my journey and you were always so real with me about, Holly, that's a little woo woo. And honestly, probably 10 years ago when I was starting out, I was one of the early trailblazers in making mindfulness mean business. Now it's really gone mainstream, but I think about that word Amazon. Remember when Amazon was a place in the jungle?
Yeah, right.
And everybody knew that. Well, now it's a place online that you go to buy, products and services. Mindfulness is one of those words kind of like that. A lot of people do associate it with a religion or a spiritual practice, and you have to go sit on a mountaintop and be in an ashram. And while that might have once been true, just like the word Amazon has been transformed, the word mindfulness has really transformed. A lot of that based on the work of a man that I follow, Jon Kabat-Zinn, who was the founder of the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Institute. And he, along with some four founders, really moved mindfulness here to North America. And with each and every year, it's really become secular and neuroscience based. And that's really where the key is in infusing the practices of mindfulness into business. And then what I really love, infusing mindfulness into meetings and events, which have become so much a valuable piece of any great business.
So you're talking about the neuroscience. I remember years ago reading a book from Mathieu Ricard, who is one of the spokesperson in French for the Dalai Lama. And I remember an article on him, on Mathieu Ricard, where basically they had connected all the electrodes on his brain and measure and with colors and everything, how the brain was functioning when he was in meditation, which was absolutely fascinating. Now, as I always said, if I can understand something, everybody can. So how do you integrate, and what is the difference between mindfulness and meditation?
Great question. So mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment with non-judgment.
Okay.
Meditation is one of many practices you can do to become fully present in the moment. So just like we might say, we go exercise. Exercise is the big word, and then you might have running, you might have walking, you might have bicycling. Those are different types of exercises. Mindfulness would be the umbrella word for a variety of practices that get you to be fully present in the moment.
Got it. And what do you say to people that, well, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for mindfulness, let alone, I don't have time for meditation, let alone mindfulness. That's not for me. What do you tell those people?
There was a time in my career where I was really just, some will, some won't, somebody's waiting, I've got to convert you. And really my life has kind of evolved right now. If this isn't for you, that's perfectly fine. If you love your stress, you love your overwhelm, you like running 24/7, awesome. So most of the people that I'm working with now have probably some life experience. Sadly, it might be divorce, it might be career change, maybe they've moved cities. Clearly, the pandemic has given us all a little life reset that I really educate people on what I say are applied mindfulness practices. So these are things you can do in 1 to 2 minutes within the course of your day. So while I certainly do have longer retreats and we can, go off for a couple days and do more deeper work, a great place to start, Eric, is actually perhaps at a meeting or event. Because for a lot of folks, hopefully, knock on wood, they're going back, but you might be a little to peopling in the new world. Well, what about just taking a stress reduction moment? I say I was one of the hand washing experts before hand washing was a thing. Instead of just quickly washing your hands and dashing out the door, use that as a marker, something you're going to do anyway, to center, breathe, and focus. So as you're washing your hands, actually take a moment to feel the temperature of the water, feel the soap on your hands, and then take a mindful exhale and visually feel that stress going down the drain, maybe down your shoulders, down your arms, and then into the sink and down the drain. That's one practice that you're going to do that activity anyway, but you can infuse a little bit of mindfulness into it. So that's one example.
What about another example when you are in a meeting and you stress because of something that is not related to the meeting, but your mind is stressed with that, or you stress because somebody in the room is actually stressing you.
Great example. I think this is one of those times where you can really use some call it a mini meditation, some call it an affirmation. I just would kind of say to myself, I am at peace. And you might breathe. I am on the inhale, at peace on the exhale. I've also been known to just send a little message to them energetically. You're the right person at the right time with the right and perfect message, just to sort of ease the tension. What you visualize, you actualize. So some of those strategies can also happen before you even get in that room. Just taking that moment to center and focus, and then go into that experience having already visualized what you want to have happen. You'd be surprised at how many times I'll walk into a meeting and I will have gotten up that morning, taken a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to ask this question, I'm going to have this particular discussion, and I'll already visualize the outcome. I might even hear the different parties saying, yes, that works, yes, no, and then feel the vote. Never go into a room if you don't know the outcome. By taking that mindful moment to visualize it, when you get that scratchy person in the room, you can remember, wait, what's the higher truth of what I want to have happen here? And those are all mindful practices.
Absolutely. And I could share one personal example. When I had my cooperative agency back in Brussels, when I was going the client meeting that I had to present the first time on a proposal or something, I would on purpose arrive earlier on the parking lot, and I'll do some meditation, and then I'll go into the meeting, and felt much, much less stress than usual, if I might say so.
Well, and that's one of the key things that we can think about is, where can you do mindfulness that doesn't require you to sit in a special pose or have your fingers in a certain special way. A lot of my clients, the most mindful place they could be is in their car. So they're one of their trigger moments for the morning is when they jump in their car, to get fully in the car, feel the hands on the steering wheel, breathe, because we've all have those moments where we pulled into the parking lot at the place that we were going and we don't even remember how we got there. So first getting present and then moving into that experience can be done at a sales meeting, a trade show, a conference, an incentive event, because all of us, our glasses are no longer half full or half empty. Our glasses are full and overflowing with energy and things to do. So mindfulness practice can allow us to empty those glasses and make room for whatever new experience that we're going to have.
Mm-hmm. And so in a few days, we're going to be together again at last at IMEX at the Mandalay Bay in Vegas. What should people expect from the mindfulness experience? Exactly what is it that you are organizing there for IMEX, and what are the different experiences that we can get there?
Well, I think it's important for us as an industry, as we are coming back together, to recognize for some people there's a fear of the new normal. There may be a FOGO, a fear of going out. And yes, we get to be the trailblazers doing it first in a lot of ways. And IMEX has always had a commitment to wellness, mental, energy, body, all knowing that
right.
this trade show is a multi-day event with a lot of interaction. So it's really an honor to have the opportunity to rejuvenate their mindfulness activity. We're hosting something called Relaxation Reef, because everything in IMEX is new this year, new venue, new post-pandemic experience. So we're actually taking the Reef Aquarium space at Mandalay Bay, and we're converting it into both a relaxation space and a training space, so that if you're wanting to just have a 15-minute meditation with me, I'm going to lead them at the top of the hour, every hour during the show, and we'll have some 10-minute ones, some 15-minute ones, and 20-minute ones. So it's a place to try it if you've never tried it before, or re-engage with others in our industry that are already having an active mindfulness practice. And every meditation that I lead, I'm really excited to say they're from my portfolio as a certified workplace mindfulness facilitator. So they are all designed specifically to be secular and neuroscience based, which is really key for somebody. If you have a little bit of that skeptic or that woo-woo in you, this is a great time to come check it out in a safe environment of your peers in the industry.
That's cool. What other ideas can you share with us today for exercises? Just to I guess this is definitely mindfulness, but to be really grounded, calmer during a workplace environment, for one, and for two, what type of ideas do you suggest people would incorporate in or a sales meeting, or an incentive trip, or a trade show?
Wow, that's a lot of questions.
I know, and there's 4 questions in one. So let's start with the workplace, and then sales meeting, incentives, and trade show.
Well, Eric, I'll kind of keep it simple. One of the tools I created is I call this the 7 principles to be a mindful meeting professional. This is a mini poster. I'll have them at IMEX. They can be downloaded from my website at hollyduckworth.com. We'll put it how to get it in the show notes. But again, we don't want one more thing to do. So some of those ideas are setting an intention. That's how are you going to put your energy in motion? So if you're walking into your business day, your business meeting, just a regular sales meeting, for example, and if you're going into it going, oh, I'm not going to get the deal. Oh, I'm exhausted. You've already created that seed of exhaustion and non-success. So setting an intention each day. I say it could be one word or a tweet: joy, happiness, calm. Just repeating that word to yourself as you move into your day. That's one great way. And one of the 7 practices that you can do to be more mindful in your workday. And oftentimes, this is a really great way to share it in your teams. Just if you have a stand-up weekly meeting, what's your intention for the week? Everybody says their one word, because when you speak it out loud, you start to get the support of your team. Well, if they want happiness, I want happiness. If they want joy, if they want success, if they want to, increase their sales by 10%, I can support them in that. So that's one way for a business day or a business meeting. What was my second question, Eric?
So that was sales meeting. That was incentive trip, which might be different, maybe a little smaller number of people, more exclusive experiences.
Well, I just had the opportunity to speak at one of the site chapter events, and we actually did something that we called the Mindfulness MC. Sometimes I'll come in and I'll MC a conference, and there's the traditional keynote where I talk about the neurosciences and the companies that are actually doing mindful practices. And then throughout the event, we would do little things. So we all know we kind of have the attention span of a gnat right now. And we're also excited to people again, that sometimes it's something as simple as mindful movement. That in an incentive event, maybe you're not programming the bus ride from point A to point B. Maybe you're making that a short walk or a bicycle ride or some type of unique experience where people have to be fully present in the moment. Another great experience we had was mindful meals, where we would start with a little gratitude experience. Maybe everybody at the table would say one thing they were grateful for, and then we would actually take a moment to experience the food on the plate. Wow, and honor, the local cuisine, the carrots, the shrimp, the rice. I mean, how often do you just sit down and boom, 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 boom? But those are just a couple of mindful present activities that I infused into an incentive event for someone in our organizations.
Nice. And then last but certainly not least, a trade show. If you're an exhibitor, you wake up early, you make sure the booth is ready, you look at all the appointments you have in the day. You have to be smiling, energized from the first minute you set foot on the trade show until late at night. Or you're an attendee and you're going from one booth to another, and you obviously want to listen to the person you're talking to, and you have I don't know how many conversations in the day. That is really exhausting. So what are some tips that you can share with us so that we can get a little bit more balance, at least re-energize? What do you do?
Well, I co-authored a book called Sell More, Stress Less, 52 Tips to be a Mindful Sales Professional. We'll have that one at IMEX too. That's got a tip a week for 52 weeks. And I think, especially on the sales side at a trade show, is giving yourself permission to be fully present with the one person in front of you. We're human. We make that accidental mistake of looking down the aisle for the fifth person down the way that isn't yet, hasn't yet gotten to us because, we have to grab them. Mindfulness is the practice of being present in the moment. And I have many case studies of clients that have practiced this mindful breathing, being in the booth with that particular person. And what they have learned is they're able to capture a much better, complete deal with the person in front of them by being present with them. It's just that respectful exchange. And then when that conversation concludes, move to the next conversation. So that's one great way to do it on the sales side. And of course, on the guest side is also giving yourself permission to be authentic. If this pandemic has given our industry any gift, it is that permission slip to recognize that our own mental, physical well-being is important, and give yourself a break. And don't scorn somebody who might need to take a break. Come find me in the relaxation reef. Just, take a mindful walk. Go get yourself a glass of water. And the more, as our industry comes back together, we've always said this, right, Eric, for the 20 years we've been in this industry, the planners and the suppliers, we need to stop labeling each other and just be one industry. But utilize this time, especially as we come back together, to grow closer in our vulnerability and closer in this opportunity to make great meetings, whether they're in person, hybrid, or fully online, whatever model that you pick, that you can actually recognize and not reward the stress, but reward those people who are calm and present in spite of all of the things that we have going on. And I think we're going to have to give ourselves a permission right now to maybe say no to that extra appointment that we don't want to take and say yes to ourselves and our own mental well-being.
Love it. I wish you were passionate about the topic.
I kind of am. I've been doing this for so long. I'm so excited that finally, I've been knocking on so many doors and windows for so many years, and people go, Holly, this doesn't fit in business. And yet, this last year has really taught us that we have to be able to take care of ourselves so we can take care of our customers, build great meetings, and have those people get the outcomes and the return on investments that we're making from the meetings that we create.
Absolutely. So when we are getting to IMEX, it is the reef, exactly where it is?
It's called Relaxation Reef. It's at Mandalay Bay. It is Shark Reef. And there'll be lots of great signage. And if you're interested in just how to do this, I'm going to offer not only the mindful meditations, but I'm going to offer some trainings, including that training on how to bring mindfulness to your business and your meeting. And I'm going to do one on the later days on the Sell More, Stress Less. So all of it's on the IMEX website. I look forward to educating us and having a mindful experience together so we can grow out of this better and stronger no matter how your meetings are happening.
That's great. Absolutely. Looking forward to that. I primarily speak to business owners in our industry. And when the whole pandemic started, put together with some friends a webinar. It was called Youre Not Alone. And I brought a friend, Dr. Sherry Walling, was talking about the psychology of what's going on and to take care of oneself. And all the training I'm giving and the people I'm coaching, it's about the vision, the business, the sales, the marketing, the finances, et cetera, the action plan, the accountability, which is extremely important. One thing I started speaking about a few years ago, and I remember people saying, no, you should not speak about that. It's about the mental health. And this was like very, very taboo. And today as well, I think, and I really linked both, and I would like to hear your opinion on that. I really see finally people being able to speak about mental health openly instead of having to show like a superwoman or superman from the morning till the evening. And basically be more taking care of themselves, which obviously have an impact on their business.
If you don't take care of you, you're not going to have a business. And there's some great senior leaders I've seen in our meetings industry, and I'm so grateful that I get to see these men and women. Now there may not be at that late night party because they're up in the morning jogging. They may not have that extra cup of coffee because they're going to the juice bar. And all of us, it's not an age thing. It's actually a healthy human being choice thing that we're at right now, to support one another in making these choices so that we can have the AV company or the event company or the food and beverage at its healthiest way. Because we know right now we're all struggling. The number one thing we're struggling with is how to recruit, retain, and maintain the best employees in our hospitality industry that permeates no matter where you're at. So we've got to be able to be hospitable to ourselves, so we can demonstrate that for our hospitality workers throughout the industry. And it's going to be fun to see how that transition happens. But we are all in this together.
Absolutely. Interesting indeed, the transition, especially when you took the habit of working from home in shorts. And put a suit on, fine. But going back to the office full time, there's a lot of companies that are actually planning not to do that and having people coming 1 or 2 days a week. So have you seen anything like that, or have any comment related to the mindfulness of one's person for themselves, but also the companies creating the right environment for their employees, and also the back to the office aspect?
Wow, that's a good one. I think we all have to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves because it's that accidental, we have to wear a suit, we have to be in the office at 9. That is why I think a lot of people are looking at that reevaluation of their life. And that doesn't mean that you don't still need to be present and professional. I think it's actually more so. But I'm sitting here in my denim jeans and a nice sweater, and we're doing great business. So mindfulness is the practice of being present in the moment with non-judgment. So when these judgment factors come into the recreation of our business, can you utilize that as an opportunity to say, oh, wait, that's the judgment voice? And just pausing, what could neutral look like here? And then be willing to have that courageous conversation. Because, of course, there will be some businesses who do choose to maintain maybe that more traditional business culture. But I can tell you, based on the list that I know of the top most sought after companies to work for in the world, they are the ones that are being willing to really ask the question, why, how, and what are we going to do to create healthier, as I call them, more mindful workplaces? And I've got a whole consulting strategy on how we can infuse mindfulness, secular and neuroscience based, into companies so that they can recruit, retain, and maintain people.
Excellent. Any books you'd like to recommend, or a podcast or app?
Right now, I think, again, people are just, the glasses are so full that, I have all of that stuff. But I think, the one that I would highlight is my book. It's called Everyday Mindfulness: From Chaos to Calm in a Crazy World. And this is a daily reader. Just have for yourself a daily check-in, a daily wellness check-in. And this little book, it has a reminder to set your intention. Pick that one word of what you want to create for your energy of the day, and then an inspirational quote and an inspirational story. So that book, Everyday Mindfulness: From Chaos to Calm in a Crazy World, is just a great way to get started. 1 minute. A lot of my salespeople have it in the car. They read it, or they keep it in their desk and they read it before they open their email. And then, by love and convenience, my podcast is named the Everyday Mindfulness Show. So it's, every day matters, your mindfulness matters. And this is a great time to start exploring how you can show up differently in the world. And I'm excited to get to see you in person at IMEX, and so many of our colleagues that are returning to work. And then, of course, we have a whole nother group, Eric, of excited new professionals that are joining our industry for the first time. And the more that we can be present to the nuances of that transition, the easier and more effortless it's going to be.
Awesome. Love listening to you, Holly. Thank you so much. How do people get in touch with you?
It's Holly at hollyduckworth.com is one great way to find me. And of course on LinkedIn as well, LinkedIn/H Duckworth. I always look forward to questions, and may this just be the beginning of a conversation. So if you have any questions or challenges on mindfulness or want to explore the topic more, feel free to message me on LinkedIn or drop me an email.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Holly.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Holly, for taking the time and sharing those great ideas with us about mindfulness. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to connect with me, please go on LinkedIn or reach to my Facebook group, www.evenbusinessformula.com/group. If you like this podcast, please share with your friends. And if you want to go on Spotify or Apple and rate it, that will be much appreciated. Thank you. Bye-bye.